Gold prices have plummeted to $12.80, the lowest that they've been since Brexit. Silver down right below $18. Another plummet. Bitcoin is down to about 606. Ethereum is down to about 1325 today. This is my first attempt at a new channel. I recently put out some content that was, in a way, fear-mongering. It looked at the future state of the election, the future state of the government, the future state of the economy, right? The future state of a lot of the Western world and how it will change in our recent future. And I decided, instead of, forcing that content onto my blockchain viewers, we would start something new. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's start with today's news. Today, Julian Assange from WikiLeaks was supposed to announce a major document release that, not due to his own words, but to the words of the media, this release was supposed to be a negative net effect on Hillary Clinton running for president. However, he has stated that this was the media's take and not necessarily his communication of the leak. Now, he stated today, very early in the morning, that he wouldn't be releasing anything today. He would be releasing things in the next few days, and over the next 10 weeks, he would be subsequently releasing it. Now, I respect the fact that he actually looks at everything that they release, and he tries to guarantee the authenticity of the leaked documents. Now, today, he did not release any documents, which was a big upset for the media. However, a hacker by the name of Guccifer, which you may have heard of before, released multiple documents from the Clinton Foundation, including the folder stacks, which one folder stack even is named Pay to Play. We can talk about that later. As well as many Excel documents that have the highest donor names on the individual level, their email, their phone contact, as well as corporate donors, email contact. And in that same spreadsheet, it actually gives the TARP funds, which one may allude or infer that maybe there was some sort of correlation between the TARP fund given and the amount of donation given to the Clinton Foundation. And this is not something that I am alluding to. This is something that media outlets are alluding to. I personally don't think that there's any relevance. However, they are making that claim. Be forewarned. You may not know this, but the beginning of the Great Depression, marked by a day called Black Tuesday, was when 4 times the amount of daily volume was sold from the exchanges than a normal day. It was a panic sell, right? In combination with bank runs. What was happening at the time, back in 1929, was that you could borrow money for, let's say, 3%. You could then invest it in the stock market for 7 to 8%, maybe even 10%, right? It was a sure thing. Except it wasn't. When the stock market came tumbling down, all of these investors with margin accounts where they were borrowing money to invest got crushed. And that's how the Great Depression started. Now, today, money's cheap. Interest rates are at all-time lows. And that's why so much of the investment community is terrified of the Fed raising rates. With the structure of the global economy and some national banks, negative interest rates, foreign direct investment, there is speculation, or it is, in my opinion, it's known that current asset prices are overvalued in a similar way. Cheap money has been brought into the market and been invested in assets such as equities. We're already starting to see early signs of overpriced assets. The first big hit was real estate in New York. It's been crashing down 20% in the most recent quarter. You see big time investors, hedge fund managers, George Soros, Carl Icahn, today Chris Biotti, that are betting hard against the economy as a whole. They're betting in equity-based assets, equity-based commodities such as gold, right? They are short on the S&P. They're short on stocks in general. They're betting on a sell-off is what they're betting on. And some of them are betting the house. They're fully invested in it, and they're just sitting on the sidelines right now, waiting. There's a concept in the investment community, in the hedge fund community, called dry powder, right? It's cash that's just sitting there in USD, in euros, in JPY, in CNY, just sitting there, not invested, because they know that at any point that powder keg can ignite and the prices of assets will come tumbling down. So they take the profits early, cash out, sit on cash, and then just watch the time. When the day comes and the assets come tumbling down, they already took their profits. And they're laughing all the way to the bank. Deutsche. Just German banks in general. Commerzbank. Fucking European banks. They got themselves in a tiff when it comes to their investments and their investments in Euro bonds. Capital requirements from regulators are grinding on them if they're doing it adequately, if they're fulfilling regulations, if they're adhering to regulations. There is the incoming fee or penalty that the U.S. government is pushing onto Deutsche Bank because, when all the big banks, they had to pay their fee, they had to pay their penalty for transacting in the mortgage-backed market back in 2008 and selling assets that were overvalued compared to how they're internally booking them. Deutsche Bank hasn't paid yet. So initially, the U.S. government came with $14 billion. It's been scaled down. However, as of last week, they said they were going to settle at like $4 to $6 billion or something. However, that has been deemed to be a complete Twitter rumor, and there's no confirmation of how much Deutsche Bank is going to pay. Right? So Deutsche Bank is going up and down and up and down in the stock market. Are they meeting their capital requirements? Maybe. Do they have enough money to continue on BAU with the fee? Maybe. Are they overexposed in credit, right? Do they have overexposure into these shitty European bonds? Maybe. I wouldn't be long, Deutsche. A lot of government officials have come out and said they are not going to bail out Deutsche. Deutsche credit default swaps are at an all-time high, right? I've seen overlays of the Lehman stock price to the Deutsche stock price. Looks pretty similar. Everyone on the way down says, there's nothing to worry about. We're solvent. We're not Lehman. Until the day that they announce that they're going under. And the credit default swaps trigger. In my financial opinion, will Deutsche go under? No. Some of the other banks, like Commerzbank and the other banks, maybe ING, maybe some of the other groups out there go under? Possibly. I think that Deutsche has a lot of Tier 1 capital. I think that it is being under-evaluated in that regard. I think there's a lot of fear-mongering going on. I don't mean to be a fear-monger, however, the tone of this video is fear-mongering. But the temperament of this channel, right? It's going to be the future state of this economy. How it relates to the election, how it relates to the economy, how it relates to the future of jobs and growth, globalization, foreign policy, how everything ties together. What the real picture is, whether it be a pro, a con, a negative, a positive, pessimistic, optimistic. Like I say, and like I always say, be wary as an investor. Don't get caught up in the hype cycles. Buy low. Sell when you can make a profit. Right? Don't be greedy. Be greedy when people are fearful, and be fearful when people are greedy. Warren Buffett says something like that. We don't know what's going to trigger the sell-off in the markets. Will it be Deutsche? Will it be a major bank with some major news? Will it be the election, right? Trump, Hillary, some sort of corruption scandal, some sort of, foreign policy debacle, Russia, the escalations in the Middle East, how we're collaborating with different members of the European Union, United Nations, whether it be the negative implications of some sort of trade policy like TPP. These are all things, major things, that are going to be implemented before the end of the year, right? There's a lot of change coming. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And I urge you guys to know the issues, to be informed about the issues, just so you're aware. I'm a pessimist when it comes to ultimate change, but I think awareness is everything. If you're aware, at least you can adapt instead of being one of the sheep in the herd. This is Drew, Decrypt, with my new series on Hype Cycle. I hope you enjoy this. If you did, subscribe, like the video, and I will continue to give you updates as it relates to the future of the global economy.